welcome everybody to the Hero's Journey podcast, a sacred space where you can kiss your doubt goodbye and embark with confidence and love on your quest to become the hero on your journey back to wholeness. Together with brilliant minds, we venture into the unknown to reweave and mend what is torn and to patch what is missing. And today, I'm really excited about this episode. Today we have Kevin Gonzalez with us. Hi, Kevin. Thank you so much for being here with us. And I'm so excited because I remember scrolling through YouTube and I got a video recommended, and I think it was called, what was it called? I wasted 3 years doing Joe Dispenza
Oh, yeah.
meditations wrong. Don't do what I did. And I immediately clicked on that because it was during a time where I kind of felt like, I don't know, like you're getting momentum, but then it falls apart, and you're getting momentum and it falls down. And the way you explained and just like shared your wisdom was so amazing to me. So I had to reach out, and now you are here, and I'm so excited for you to share with the audience your journey. So Kevin, I'm beyond grateful you're here, and the mic is yours. Where did your journey start? Tell us about yourself.
Well, I guess my journey with Dr. Joe's work, it started out of curiosity. I love neuroscience. Well, I didn't love neuroscience back then, but I loved like all things spirituality, manifestation. But I think the main reason I got into Dr. Joe's work was because he mentioned in a podcast. I think the first podcast I stumbled upon him was Tom Bilyeu and Impact Theory. So really, really a long time ago. And so he was saying that you can signal the psychoactive chemicals, like what happens during a psilocybin journey or a LSD journey. You can signal the same chemicals in your brain, and I was like, that's very interesting. I am kind of a big fan of psychedelic experiences, so why not try it as well? So that's kind of like what started my journey with the Dr. Joe's work as well. That's kind of like the foundation. Um,
Awesome.
yeah.
How was your life? Like, maybe let's dive a little bit into the Kevin who was
Mm,
living his life before doing the work. Like, who were you? Was
mm.
everything just like, okay, you just wanted to kind of a little bit of an upgrade, or
Yeah.
were there some things that you also needed help
Mm.
on or were ready to work on?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I guess back then when I started this journey, my life wasn't ideal, but I would say I was just a robot. I was an
Mhm.
NPC like everybody else, like majority of the world, and I worked in corporate, and I hated it. I
Mhm.
absolutely hated it, and I knew that there was like a tugging for more. That's why I dove into spirituality. I dove into anything, just like even my psychedelic experiences expanded my awareness. I was like, what is this? Like, this is pretty insane. And I was doing those things on a party setting, and so the intention wasn't the environment wasn't the right environment for my intentions. And so that opened up my mind. And so when I was back in corporate as well, I was like, this, it doesn't feel like this is for me. My soul was just asleep. And a deeper reason as to why I loved spirituality was because, I don't know, for some underlying reason, I wanted to experience God, or who is God. I wanted to meet God for some weird reason. And so that just started my search for everything. But back in corporate, I was the guy who was just living to paycheck. Like, I had a decent job, but yeah, earning six figures, but I was still living paycheck to paycheck. I'm miserable. I was like living for the weekends.
Yeah,
Monday to Fridays were just autonomous. I knew I was like something that needed to change as well. Just super comfortable. Do you know what I mean? Um,
yeah,
it's like sitting on a nail, but the nail doesn't hurt as much, or it's just an uncomfortable nail that I'm sitting on, but it doesn't hurt as much to do something about it.
yeah.
Until it shook me. I was just like, I could feel myself getting depressed while I was on one of my shifts before, and I was
Mhm.
like, nah, something's got to change. Like, something's got to change as well. So that was me before I did all the work. But I guess the big dark night of the soul came a few years after that as well, when I started my own. I attempted to start my own businesses. I met the wrong kind of like. I met a person who I thought I could help, but my intuition was just saying, get out right now, get out right now. But this person that I met, he had like all the connections. He knew what to do on how to start a business. You know what I mean? Like everything just looked good on paper.
Mm,
However, my inner being was just like, red alert, stop, like
mhm.
disassociate yourself with this person right now. But me not knowing the tools back then, I didn't listen to my guidance, and oh man, one thing led to another, and he turned out to be like an extreme narcissist, and embezzled
Oof.
a lot of money from me, leaving me in 6 figures worth of debt. And some of the to try to recoup my losses, I, borrowed money off my parents, borrowed money off the banks, and maxed out my credit cards as well. So in total, I was in about $157,000 in debt, and
Mm,
I was already doing Joe's work um, back then. However, not to like the full extent. And Joe's work is what got me out of that debt as well. So that's kind of like the backstory.
yeah. That's amazing to hear. And yes, I do feel you with this one that you were saying. Your intuition rang all the alarm
Oh yeah,
bells. I think for a few times I was in a similar situation, and each time I was thinking, I should have listened to my intuition. I
a
should
hundred
have
percent.
listened to my guts. So it's a
Yeah,
real thing, guys. Intuition and just
it
trusting
is.
your feelings is a big valuable
Hmm.
thing, and follow your heart.
Absolutely.
So
One thing to
amazing.
add to that as well. Sorry,
Yeah,
when
yes, go
my
ahead.
intuition was like saying something, or it was trying to communicate with to me, it was loud. It was literally
Mhm.
loud, and I could feel like my body
Yeah,
saying, "You need to get away now. You need to get
yeah.
away." And like my intuition now is like soft, and I can understand the subtle nudges of my current intuition now. But back
Mhm.
then, this thing was yelling. It was knocking on my door, like saying, "No, no," but I still did not
Mm.
follow it. So learn
Mm.
from me.
Well, I'm excited to learn through this story, then also how you got back in touch with your intuition and you're trusting
Yeah.
your own guts again. And yeah, okay, so you were basically, um, yeah, financially on rock bottom, I
Mm,
guess, or just in a lot of that, which I mean
yeah.
causes a lot of stress. So how were you feeling
Absolutely.
during this time? Like,
Mm,
what symptoms of stress did you experience? Like, were you also depressed then, or anxiety, panic attacks? Tell us
mm.
more about how you were feeling back then.
Ooh, it was a roller coaster of emotions.
Mm.
I guess back then I didn't have the knowledge of understanding that I have now, but
Yeah.
I was just in a constant state of anxiety and depression and struggle. And
Hmm.
I always had pity parties for myself. Like right before I go to bed, it's like, oh my God, how could you let yourself get into this situation? That was like the most prevalent thing back then in my life. And so even though I would meditate for like an hour, 2 hours of meditation, as soon as I am about to go fall asleep, um, as I ended my day, the pity party would be strong. It would be like, "Ah,
Yeah.
how you get yourself in this situation? Like, dude, you're such a screw up. You owe your parents so much money." Every time I would look at my mom and dad, because I had to move back with them, because like, where am I going to go? You know
Mm.
what I mean? I had nothing. I had less than nothing. I had like negative. And so I moved back in with my parents, and just seeing my mom cry and saying, "Oh my God, like we're not going to get any of that money back." I was like, "Oh man." It was like sinking in the heart. And I would never forget that moment. Um, Although I've like overcome and healed it, like that thing just lingers in my being for some weird reason. So anyway, every time I would look at my parents, that environment would seduce me back into my old self of like, dude, you fucked up. You know what I mean? You messed up, and then it was so hard because now the environment was against me. My thoughts were against me, and so everything was definitely against me because I'm having pity parties for myself. I'm feeling anxious. One main thing for me is like I had the subconscious belief that I needed to struggle in order to achieve something or to get breakthrough as well. And so even though I'm trying to recoup my losses by working on my business, applying for jobs and stuff like that, it would still come from a scarcity mindset. And so I had to, yeah, really overcome these limiting beliefs of that were just coming at me left, right, and center. So emotionally, environmentally, my own thoughts as well, and that was quite a hard task to get over as well. So definitely, the pity partying was kind of like the most prevalent one, and it literally damaged my confidence, my self esteem, and how I
Yeah.
perceived myself as well. Right, and so it wasn't just the debt that was being affected. Like my relation, I had an ex girlfriend. I had a girlfriend back then as well, and went down the drain because every time I would communicate with her, it would come from a place of lack, scarcity, or
Mhm.
a place of panic, anxiety, or worry. So she got sick of me, um, and then I would try to go on dates with other women, but then also that affected me. It's like, oh, okay, who would go on a date with me because I'm in I'm in six figures worth of debt. Like, who would want to go on a date? So I'm like, oh. So and then I would stop hanging around my friends. So like this whole negative chain reaction just literally
Yeah.
sunk my life down. I would not go out with my friends because I didn't have any money. I would rather invest it in my business to try to get myself out of debt. So lost my friends, lost my ex-girlfriend, um, losing my relationship with my parents as well. I couldn't even look at them in the eye. Um, and I couldn't get myself just to get ahead. That was like the most intense moments of my life.
Yeah. Wow. That sounds really, really intense and difficult to feel in your
Mm,
body, this type of anxiety, or
yeah.
like even confronting yourself with these things and then um, closing the gap. I can imagine that that was a lot of work and took a lot of
Mm,
courage to, yeah, to expose yourself to all of these emotions. And then I'm curious, where came the point where you were like, okay,
yeah.
something has to change again. Like, this is not going to work. How long have you
Mm,
spent in this state of being? And then when was the
yeah.
next moment where your soul or
Mm,
something inside of you said, like, okay,
mm,
something has to change, something needs
mm.
to be done?
Yeah, it's a good question. I was in debt for maybe, or I was in that situation for about 2 years.
Hmm.
Um, so I was doing Joe's work for 2 years while I was in that state. Like even
Hmm.
before I did Joe's work, I was in a good state. But then when that happened, I was like, oh, I have to like really go all in. So there was, it was 2 years of like me in super survival.
Yeah.
The turning point came when I was just in meditation one time, and I just had enough. I was just like, oh, here I am meditating again. Um, I don't know if this even gonna work. Like I haven't seen anything, I haven't seen any signs, but you know what? I just had enough. I have no idea how I'm going to get out of this debt. And that was it. Like I was just like it was like out of pure exhaustion, out of pure trying and efforting, matter to matter in 3D stuff. Just one moment in that meditation, as soon as I kind of like surrendered that or just like let go, I literally just felt like a weight lift off of my shoulder, and I was like, "Oh,
Yes.
interesting." Yeah, that was like a really good turn. Like, it was an amazing turning point for me. Um, However, I didn't think anything of it, but I just like, "Oh, I feel lighter. That's amazing." But I didn't know it was surrender back then. It was just like, "I've had enough. I'm just so sick and tired of this." I'm like 2 years of trying to get myself out of debt, missed
Mm,
out on so many relationships, intimate moments with my family, like missing out on being connecting with another woman, having friends. I was like, oh God. So I surrendered back then, not knowing it was surrender, and then slowly things just started clicking. I wasn't even paying attention to Joy's voice in the meditation. I was just like having a conversation with myself, and I was just like, I'm exhausted. I'm done. And so that moment of
yeah.
surrender just opened up something for me, and then things just slowly started moving um, in my life again. So I would kind of like I would like manifest a job opportunity that would pay like $1,000 a week, or no, sorry, not 1,000, like $2,000 a week, and I didn't have the credentials for it. Like this was during COVID, so
Mm,
people were and I used to have in that corporate background. I have a corporate background, right? So this job that I applied for, I had nothing. I had no credentials for it, but they took me in, and I was like, "Huh? Okay." But then, long story short, I got fired from that job as well because I was still in survival emotions. So I would
mhm.
have like little glimpses here and there of specific little wins as well, but it would give me some breathing room to like, okay, pay off a little bit of my credit card debt, and then I would still have enough to, get a nice meal for myself as well, and not having to eat broke food or like canned tuna and whatnot. So there would be a bit
Mhm.
of like relief or a little bit of enjoyment in life as well. So slowly
Right.
things started to pick up after that.
I have a question. When you
Sure.
had this surrender moment in your meditation, how were you acting afterwards in your daily
Mm.
life? Like, how did it influence? Were you
Yeah.
still the same, or did you
Yeah.
notice like some moments of where you
Mm.
were a little bit more lighthearted, or how were you showing up for yourself after that?
That's a good question. I've never thought of that. But if I were to look back on it now, there was
Hmm.
definitely a more at ease presence with me. Like I
Yeah.
wasn't like You know what? I didn't try as hard to get myself out of debt, because when I was like in survival and you're making decisions from survival, every decision from survival is the wrong decision. You know what I mean? Because I would get, whenever I would get my hands on money, I would like invest it in a course. But then this course that I would invest in is nothing that I'm passionate about, or it's just like
Yeah.
I'm trying to get myself into like a get rich quick scheme so I can, you know,
Mhm.
get like earn $100,000 to get myself out of debt. So I'm hoping, or I'm trying to manifest that big win as well. And so after that surrender moment, I felt a little bit of ease to not give myself pressure to get myself out of debt like very, very quickly as well. So I stopped making some dumb decisions with what I was doing. And there was definitely a presence at ease. Also, that's how I'm pretty sure I landed that job, because I'm like, oh, I need to take a break from all this business stuff, and maybe I should
Yeah.
go back to a 9 to 5. You know what I mean? And so
Yeah.
I also had a belief, a subconscious belief that only I can get out of myself out of this. You know, because I'm too prideful to go back to a 9 to 5. Like, come on, dude, stop lying to yourself. But it gave me some room, so there was definitely ease.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing. Amazing. All right. So now we are having a little bit more of a lighthearted Kevin,
Mm,
who also enjoys maybe once in a while a nice dinner. And yeah, how did you continue from there? Did you fall
mm.
back into like, yay, it's working. Okay, now let's go like
Yeah.
100% in and falling
Mm.
back into trying matter? Or
Yeah,
how
yeah.
did you navigate from there?
Well, I never stopped meditating. That's the thing. Like,
Hmm.
like even though I was seeing nothing, I never stopped meditating for some weird reason, and I would always be digesting Joe's content, like always.
Hmm.
And it got to the point where I needed to be working on my business, but I would like, be digesting Joe's content. So I'm procrastinating what I actually needed to do as well. But how I got back into there was I stumbled upon this video of changing boxes on YouTube, and he was like it
Hmm.
was like a retreat lecture, and so he also has this activity on it where you draw you in your sad box, you in your old box, and then you in your happy new box as well. So I followed that, and I was like, okay, what have I got to lose? And back then it was just he only had the original 52-minute changing boxes that was only available, and I love that. I love that because you're just literally like lingering in the void for so long. He's just taking you deeper and
Hmm.
deeper. So I kept doing that. I kept doing changing boxes, and then like little by little, I got like a really because my background is in sales and marketing as well, and then I landed a really amazing opportunity for a sales gig that was paying like, oh, something ridiculous, like $4,000 to $10,000 a week, and I was like, whoa,
Wow.
that's interesting. Yeah. And so usually before that, the sales gigs that I was getting um, were paying like not even like 5,000 a month. And so this was a grand opportunity for me. So I was doing changing boxes, and then that landed on my lap, and I was like, wow, wonderful. And then I thought that was going to get me out of my debt, but I just kept doing changing boxes, changing boxes. I think I did it for about 90 days, changing boxes. And then um that was after the surrender. So after the surrender, there was like little synchronicities, like I would meet people from Facebook groups of Dr. Joe. I made friends with like some woman in Melbourne as well, and um she was helping me out in all of this as well. So I had someone to at least talk to make sure that I wasn't crazy as well. So I actually had someone to talk to this work. And that's very important, because if I
Mhm.
had no one, which I had no one at the beginning of my stages, it is a
Yeah.
very lonely journey, and um it's a journey where you don't know if you're doing anything right or wrong, or if what you're experiencing during meditation, it makes you feel crazy. At least when you have
Mhm.
someone to talk, you have to talk someone to talk to about, and it clarifies like, yeah, I've experienced that as well, so you're not crazy, all good. um but little synchronicities started showing up about information that I needed specifically to, regulate my nervous system, to
Mhm.
kind of like get myself out of survival mode and stuff like that.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing. In your meditations, when you were doing the changing boxes, I'm curious, was it easy for you to surrender, or
Mm.
have you also had like a lot of difficult meditations where the survival old self came back, or was it very physical? For instance, for me,
Mm.
sometimes my meditations, they are very physical in a way that I'm like feeling sometimes pain or like a very strong tingling
Okay.
or discomfort and stuff like this. Not
Mm,
necessarily like in thoughts. So I'm
yeah.
curious how it was for you.
That's an interesting perspective because I never have any body sensations that would
Mhm.
try to unseat me. Mine were my thoughts. Mine were my like thoughts so much because what I conditioned my body was a pity party. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So there's a lot of self-limiting beliefs, sort of a lot of self-deprecation as well. Like, dude, you're never gonna get out of debt. Like, this is
yeah,
it. Like, your parents are gonna hate you forever. You know what I mean? Like, you screwed the
yeah,
family up. Like, oh, there was like so much of that. And so I had to overcome that the most. Like, I could sit in meditation for hours. Like, sometimes I meditate for 4 hours a day. But it's the thoughts that I really needed to overcome. That was like kind of like the biggest barriers for me, and beliefs. More specifically than thoughts, it was my beliefs. I had to overcome them, and so, like Dr. Joe says, you have to be bigger than your environment, bigger than your
yeah,
beliefs, bigger than all of these programs, right? So I had to literally use my will. And I feel like a
yeah,
lot of people forget that they have a will, especially at the beginning stages when you are in that dark night of the soul pit. You have to use your will. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
okay, this work is all about like love and just um using love to integrate and everything. But at the beginning, when you aren't feeling love, you have to use will. And so I had to like be like, no, I'm not a failure. Like, no, I didn't disappoint my parents. You know what I mean? I had to literally
Mm-hmm.
like shout at these beliefs during meditation and in my waking state in order for me to just to disentangle from those patterns as well. So that was kind of like my strategy at the beginning, and then it got easier and easier as I went along.
I love that. The same thing that Punya, I did an episode with her too,
Mm,
said as well what
I
she
watched
used.
that.
She would literally clench her fist and
Oh yeah,
scream in her head as
you
loud as
have
she
to.
could, like, no! And that's such a cool reminder. Thank you so much for sharing.
Yes,
And I'm
I
curious,
want
like,
everyone to remind that.
yes, willpower. You have a will, you have a choice. And
Mm,
also, with what beliefs did you replace your old ones? Like, what,
mm,
if you want to share, if you feel comfortable with,
mm,
but like, what were the beliefs
yeah.
that you placed in there instead of the old
Mm.
ones?
Well, I back then I didn't think to replace them with positive beliefs. I
Mm-hmm.
just wanted to get rid of them. I just wanted, if I can get myself into a place of neutrality,
Mm-hmm.
amazing, job done. You know what I mean? Just getting
Okay.
myself back into homeostasis was the goal. I
Yeah.
wasn't trying to, yeah, become a better person. Back then, I just wanted to get out of that hole that I was in because that was
Yeah.
like I didn't want to like I didn't want to take a big leap where it was shocking to me.
Yes.
But I didn't know. I didn't know what the that I didn't know I could quantum leap. Now that I know I can quantum leap from being down there and go all the way up, all I wanted to go was back to baseline.
Awesome. Perfect. All right. And then how was your relationships in your life unfolding after you
Hmm.
decided, hey, I have a choice, I have willpower?
Hmm.
So how did your life kind of did you get feedback? Did you get no feedback and it took a
Hmm.
while, a couple
Hmm.
of times? So I'm curious how the journey continued from there.
Yeah, so it was on and off. It was definitely like a roller coaster because I haven't
Mhm.
mastered the work yet because I was still fluctuating from survival and creation mode. And so in my 90 days of the changing boxes journey, um, I would get like little synchronicities. Like even like when I was in my sales gig, I was still in debt, but I was making some decent money, so life was pretty good as well. But then I would go back into survival because I wasn't performing. So I needed
Mm,
the sales manager wanted me to get 60% conversions, and so that's high. You know what I mean? That means one in every two person that you talk to, you need to close them. And so
yes.
I'm taking about 8 calls per day, and each call is about 45 minutes. So that's intense. Sometimes I wouldn't even need I wouldn't even get a break, or so I would skip a gym just to read up on sales material and stuff like that. I would sometimes miss my meditations because I'm too exhausted sometimes as well. So
Mm,
there was a little bit of imbalance with my life also because it was my state of being. I was still in like fluctuating from survival and creation mode. So anyway, I would get synchronicities from like one of my team members. He would be like, "Oh, hey, dude, read this book. This one really helped me about improving my sales and whatnot." So I buy the audiobook of it while I'm at the gym. I'm listening to it. I'm like, "Wow, this is amazing." Long story short, I still got fired from that sales gig because I was underperforming, but like that's when kind of like I think the momentum already started with that as well. So little pieces of information that I need to tweak my practice with the meditation started becoming clear to me as well. And so, like towards the end of my like around the month 2 of my changing boxes journey, I found out like, okay, don't meditate with like a in survival mode. Stop meditating in survival mode. So I would like take 10 minutes just to regulate my nervous system. I haven't mastered Joe's breath back then. I was just too in my head. But um, like literally just giving myself time to sit down,
Yeah.
get myself into a relaxed state and go back into homeostasis before I do meditation just really, really helped me a lot because like 45, let's say like I do my changing boxes meditation, that's 52 minutes. Why would I want to waste 52 minutes of my time meditating in survival mode? I'm just basically strengthening my neural networks to become more anxious because obviously I'm ruminating about my debt or whatever it is that I'm thinking about. That's it's just funny to me as well. So I would regulate my nervous system before meditation and invest
Mhm.
that 42 minutes into me. And so my meditation started getting better and better as we go along. I would get synchronicities of like, okay, here's a book to read to improve your sales. Here's go back to the progressive and intensive and like just listen to this like um module about the generous present moment. So I'll be like, okay, I'm slowly understanding, I'm slowly embodying things with this information that I'm acquiring. So that
Yeah.
was like kind of like the synchronicities that led to me getting out of debt.
Awesome. Oh, wow. I love that. I love synchronicities and I love your dedication as well. That's amazing. All right. I'm curious. Was there another, well, first of all, when you lost that sales job, because you said you were fluctuating, were you beating
Mm.
yourself up again? Or were you in a better state where you were like, okay,
Yeah,
shit, yeah, whatever, I'm gonna make
yeah.
it? Or, yeah, so how was that like your day-to-day thoughts during this journey or your
Mm.
state of being? You come out from the meditation, you were still in survival, maybe you feel like a little bit better, and then how was your day? Like, what were the
Mm.
biggest triggers? And just maybe you can take along us on this tiny journey.
So yes. So basically, even though I was meditating much better, I would
Hmm.
still have those programs that I didn't deal with as well. And so, yes, I got rid of the beliefs, but then there would still be those voices in my head, and so my confidence was gone. You know what I mean? And so I
Yeah.
needed to work on that as well. But I was just literally, if I were to do something differently, I would like focus on loving myself, and I
Yeah.
feel like exponentially my creations or manifestations would skyrocket much more faster. But back then, I didn't have that knowledge, and so after I got fired from there, I would have a pity party for myself once again because that was still hardwired into me. You know what I
Mm.
mean? It's like, dude, what's going on? Like, you can't even keep a job. How are you going to get out of debt? You know what I mean? But I still kept meditating, still kept meditating. And so there was obviously a battle of like, you're a loser, and then it's like, okay, let's go back. You know what I mean? There wasn't like I'm a
Mhm.
winner or anything like which I should have been doing, like programming myself to be a winner. But it's like you're
Yeah.
a loser. Okay, we're feeling good. We're feeling okay. At least we can function today, and you're not tearing yourself down. So that was like kind of like the biggest war within me that was happening. Like the biggest pity parties and just like criticizing and judging myself was what I really needed to overcome
Mm.
um, during those moments as well. But one thing I will say is that for me, that didn't go away for a very long time. And so,
Yeah.
even though I did get myself out of debt, that pity party and that judgment and criticism was still there as well. And so, um, I'll save that. I'll save that part for after I tell you the story of how I got out of debt. But yeah,
Yes. Please. You're very curious. Okay, thank you for sharing because I love hearing the stories just because it also makes it more relatable as well to see people who actually have done it. It was not like a linear journey. It was like sometimes an up and forward and the little wins
oh
during the
yeah,
day that then at one time add up to the big win or to the big shift. So all right. How does your journey continue? Tell us more. So
yeah.
you
So
were getting more in love in with yourself.
mm,
Any more insights that you realized so that you changed further? Tell us, please.
I was changing a little bit by bit. However,
Hmm.
there was one point where I was just doing changing boxes a lot. Like sometimes I would do changing boxes twice, and
Mhm.
um, I think the biggest change for me when I was doing that changing boxes for about, I gave myself 90 days, was what it was doing. Like I still had like confidence issues, self-belief issues, self-worth issues back then. However, I think what it was doing to me was that I kept moving into a box where I wasn't in debt. I was financially free, but I was still carrying I kept focusing on relief. So in the meditation, I kept focusing on relief, kept
Mhm.
focusing on relief. I should have kept focusing on relief and confidence in me as well. So yeah, that's what I was missing. So I just kept focusing on relief and just elevated that emotion as well. And it was working. It was working. So I was like feeling relief about my debt and whatnot. And so there was one point where I did it changing boxes. And usually what I would do, like I guess in the early stages of this experiment, or this going all in on myself, was I would do it changing boxes, and then I would either check my bank account or check my emails, of hoping to see if like some miracle has just showed up in my life. You know what I mean? So that was a habit that I needed to break off. Like, stop checking, dude. What are you doing?
Mhm.
Because now I know when you check for signs, it means you're separate from it. Like you
Yeah.
don't have what you're looking for. And so immediately after meditation, like 50 minutes of changing boxes. Cool, I feel amazing. Let's go check my email. I know it's gonna be there. You know what I mean? I'm like, check it. Bow bow. I'm like, oh my goodness. So that was demotivating me even more. I'm like, damn, is this thing even working? But that was my bad, and I didn't know back then as well. And so um and then sometimes I would try to like visualize or mentally rehearse winning the lottery as well. And I'm
Yeah.
limiting myself to how the universe can give me get me out of debt as well. But so as I kept doing changing boxes towards like the second to third month as well, it felt like I was letting go of the attachment of like, oh, you know what? I don't care how I'm gonna get out of debt. I don't care how. Just get me out of debt. You know what I mean? Okay, cool.
Mm.
I'm feeling the feelings of like just relief, just relief. It's like, you know what? I don't care if I don't win the lottery. I just want to start going out again. I want to start living a normal life again. And so I
Mhm.
think that momentum of relief just started to accumulate as well. And then
Beautiful.
I did a meditation one time, and I was just going through my day, and usually I would like check my emails right after meditation. But for some weird reason, I think I started cleaning the house, or I think I went to the gym instead.
Mhm.
And so that put me into the unknown. You know what I mean? That put me into the unknown. And then when I'm in the gym, I'm just like in the zone. I have earphones on, like, don't talk to me, please. I'm just like either
Yeah.
listening to a podcast or listening to music and just working out. But for some weird reason, this time I was at the gym, pulled out my phone, and I just decided to check my emails randomly. Like, not in a place, not coming from a place of, oh my God, like hoping that some miracle is happening here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I just checked it for, I don't know, for God knows why, but I checked it and I looked through my inbox, nothing, just deleted a couple of messages. Looked in my outer box, nothing, just deleted a couple of messages. But when I clicked the junk email,
Mhm.
I there was an email there from a real estate agent that wasn't even my real estate agent. And so I had a property that I've invested in as an investment property in a different state here in Australia. And then so this was during COVID as well, right? So who is buying properties during COVID, right? The whole world was like at a standstill, and so this was when we finished lockdown. So this was like, this was like when we finished lockdown, and then I was at the gym, and I see an email from this random real estate agent, and then he was like, "Hey, dude." Well, not like that, but like, "Hey, Kevin, like these are the property prices of in the suburb of your investment property. Maybe you would like to get an evaluation of your property." And I was like, "Oh, okay, interesting." So I showed my dad the email. I'm like, "Hey, Dad, do you want to see if you want to get an evaluation of the property that I have in Queensland?" And then it's like, "Okay, sure, why not?" So I'm not like excited. I'm like, "Oh my God, this is it." I was just like, "Huh, this is interesting," right? So it coming from a place of curiosity, and so I called up my actual real estate agent, and she was like, "Okay, let me do an appraisal for you." You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
she does an appraisal. I think she comes back to me in about three to 5 days. I don't remember, but she gives me an appraisal, and the property 3x in value. So it 3x in value, yeah, and it
During
was out
COVID.
after COVID,
Oh, after
right?
COVID. Yeah.
After
Right.
COVID,
Okay.
yeah, but still, like
Yeah.
it's unheard of as well. And so I'm like, okay, cool, interesting. And then that's when it struck me. It's like, hey, maybe this is the ticket that's going to get me out of debt. Now, when I saw the appraisal number and how it 3x in value, that was when I was like, I get a bit of a sigh of relief, and I'm like, and I was like, this is what I've been meditating on. Like, this is what I've been meditating on. You know what I mean? And so
Mm.
it came from a place unknown, because I thought I had to get out of my debt either through me working hard on my business and getting myself out of debt, or I would win the lottery, or I would
Mhm.
get an inheritance, or someone would have pity on me and they would just give me money to get me out of debt, like some shallow stuff like that. And so the thing is, with this property, I've had it for, I think, 2 years prior to prior to it 3xing, and I always thought that this is a dead property. This is a property that is the worst investment of my life. You know what I mean? Because sometimes the maintenance of the property would
Mhm.
cost more than the actual appreciation of the property that it was getting me, that it was yielding me. And so I just left the property to be like, ugh, whatever. When I'm ready to sell it, I'll sell it, or like when I pay it off, or like when it's I'm using it as kind of like a nest egg, but I wasn't making any money off it, so I just wrote it off as like, yeah, whatever. And so when I saw it 3x, I was like, oh wow, like I didn't know it would come in this unexpected way. So
Mm.
that was kind of like the how I got out of debt. But here's the thing. Here's the cool thing. Now, in a span of um 2 months, I think 2 months, I was out of debt. So ever since that incident of me receiving that junk mail email, 2 months after that, I was out of debt. Now, listen to this: the universe like literally worked in my favor, and so um, I received like through the property through the what do you call it? The sequence of events of selling my property. There was assumptions of like, okay, the settlement is gonna settle in 6 months, stuff like that. The people that have purchased the property want these conditions XYZ, and I was like, oh damn, I'm still gonna be in debt for another 6 months. It's not the money's not gonna come in for another 6 months, but it expedited in as little as 2 months. Okay, this is a cool story in itself, because the people that purchased my property, they really wanted that property for some weird reason that they offered 10,000 more for the asking price. And I was like, huh? Why? Oh, and I was like, I was already going to take just asking price, but you want to give me $10,000 more? Sure, why not? And so I took it. Then I found out what okay. So another synchronicity was I couldn't kick out my existing tenants in that property that I was selling, because there's a rule. Because that's pretty crazy. Like, hey, dude, you guys got to get out of the property, and
Yeah.
I didn't give you some chance to look for another property. So see ya. So Australia has this rule where you have to give them, I think, 8 weeks notice for them to, find another property for them to settle in, so they're not homeless. Now, okay, listen to this. The tenants, I didn't say that I was selling the property or anything. Okay, I was just, it was just like in the process of doing things. And so the tenants, and the tenant that living there is a grandma. So she was
Oh,
ready to settle in there. You know what I mean? Like she was
yeah.
living with some of her grandkids there because they were in university, and so they were quite comfortable. And so even when I bought that property, that sweet old grandma was in that property when I bought it. So she was already a tenant for a very long time. So she loved that
Mm.
property. It was ideal for her. Now listen to this. When I decided to sell the property, I didn't tell her about it just yet because it wasn't the right time. And then she emails me out of nowhere. She's like, "Oh, hey, we're moving out, blah blah blah." So, yeah, and I was like, "Excuse me." And so that's the first synchronicity, 10,000 more than the asking price. The second one is the existing tenant was excusing herself out. So I was like, "Oh, thank you, wonderful, easy." And so we did a bit of renovations for the new tenants to come in as well. And then I found out the reason that they were going to give me 10,000 more than the asking price is because their mother lived 2 blocks away, two neighborhoods away
Oh,
from that
oh.
house. And so they wanted to be really, really close to her mum. Um, so they were going to give me $10,000 more because I was getting other bids for the house as well. So that was
Yeah.
all crazy. Now, the final piece, the cherry on the top, was that instead of 6 months waiting, for some weird reason, everything got expedited. Like the lawyers were just on point, the banks were on point, everyone was doing everything correctly. And then that 6 months turned into 2 months. And then I was out of
Wow.
debt. That was crazy.
Wow.
That was like wild.
Wow, that is a
Yeah.
beautiful story. And like you said, relief. You didn't have to work hard for your relief or like for
Mm,
getting out of debt. Literally, the grandma moved out herself without you
right.
sending a notice. Then such a short, so effortless,
Mm,
like such a beautiful gift. I love hearing that. Like, I love hearing that this is like a possibility that you that it can the change, of course, yes, it can be tough, like working on yourself, but when
mm,
change then comes around, that it doesn't have to be super scary, and that it can be actually super smooth and just like a very loving experience. I absolutely love
absolutely.
everything about what you just told us.
It's still a beautiful story. I
Beautiful.
can't get over it.
Yes. And then how was it after that? So you saw that you were out of bed.
Yeah.
Did some old patterns creep back in because like you were, or did you already focus on your next creation? So how is that going? Because in the hero's
Yeah.
journey, sometimes the you know, when the hero overcomes the big enemy,
Mm,
it's only half of the journey. The other
hmm.
half is like returning back and then bringing the
Yeah.
wisdom and everything and
Mm.
integration and just bringing it back to your tribe. So there's
Yeah.
still a journey to go from there to there. So I'm
Exactly.
curious how your life continued after this.
So after I got out of debt, I had more money to enjoy as well,
Mhm.
like exponentially more. Now listen to this. That's a good point that you made. That if my life returned or it was even better, it wasn't,
Mm,
because yeah, it was like I celebrated. I was like I finally took my parents out to dinner and whatnot, and we celebrated with them as well, and they were excited. They were happy as well, and so one thing is because I borrowed money off my dad, he took it out of his home loan to lend me the money as well. So by being able to give the money back to him, he was able to retire. So that was kind of like a big moment for
mm,
me as well, and for him
beautiful.
also. And so the funny thing is, after I got out of my debt, and I have so much more money in my bank account now, that the patterns still arose. So I moved to a new location in Australia, and um, I wasn't working or anything. I was just enjoying. However, like now that I look back on it, the patterns of lack and scarcity was still in my system. And so what I was
Mhm.
doing, I had another obstacle now. It wasn't me getting out of debt, is how do I not lose this money? How do I
Mm,
make more of this money? Because it's kind of like a countdown timer. For me, looking at that money, it was a countdown timer. Okay, now I have more than enough. All right, let me enjoy it a little bit, but it's gonna run out. Okay, how do I make more of it? However, it was coming from a place of fear and scarcity. And so I would be making some stupid decisions like I was when I was in debt, of making it from fear and scarcity. So I would invest in a course where I didn't even have any passion over, like a faceless YouTube course. You know what I mean? I was like, do I really want to do this? And that course was not cheap. It was like $10,000. And
oof,
so, yeah, right. And so the money that I was spending and the decisions that I was making from the survival emotions that I was generating, obviously the money was depleting so much more faster because I'm trying to make more money by investing in things that I had no knowledge over. You know what I mean?
mm,
Crypto, Bitcoin, um, more into my business as well. And so the pattern is repeating. And so, similar to how lottery winners lose it all after a couple of years, I felt myself heading down that path very, very quickly. And so
mhm.
I had to stop. I had to stop trying to recoup my losses, and I started investing in coaches and people who can actually help me rewire my beliefs
Yeah,
so much more faster. I didn't stop
yeah.
doing Joe's work, but I realized I needed extra help to get me out of this like limiting beliefs that I had. Because yeah, if I knew what I knew now when it comes to like getting yourself into nervous system regulation, um, being able to create a new identity as well, it was identity work that helped me get out of this lack and scarcity mindset
Yeah.
once and for all. Because that part of pattern was kind of like ingrained in me, especially growing up in like a third world country as well. it
Mhm.
was it was just who I am. You know what I mean? Like that's why now, coming to think of it, I was living paycheck to paycheck in corporate, got into debt in my business, and then that. And so it wasn't until I hired those coaches to really help me to get those limiting beliefs and start creating a new identity for myself as well, where I could finally enjoy the abundance that I was rewarded with. So
Mm.
if anyone can take anything away from that, is like literally like the universe will, yes, grant your manifestations and wishes, but if you don't work on the external the internal, the biggest blocks that are actually ingrained in us, the neurological patterns that are actually ingrained, I'm sorry to say, like yes, the universe is going to continue to give you what you want, but that's like an it took me 90 days to get out of debt. Like even before that, if you just count the 90 days of me going all in, what about the 2 years of still doing the work? You know what I mean? If I
Mm,
had just tackled the new internal neurological patterns of those old stories, those identities that I unfortunately decided to believe about myself, I wouldn't be in that situation again. You know what I mean? So even if I did get another $1 million, I know for certain that old self would have just squandered that money on and spent it on stuff he didn't need, and he
mm,
would still be in that pattern until I died. And so I
mm,
needed to, yeah, break those patterns and create a new identity for myself. One that was comfortable around money, comfortable around having more than enough, comfortable in being challenged that whether he is depleted, he knows how to make it back, or he knows that he is supported by something greater. So that's what
mm.
I needed to overcome.
Oh, that's a beautiful statement because sometimes um, I think money is such a big, like in their minds, a big thing for many people because this
Mm,
is like how we pay everything. This is like how we exchange things and everything.
exactly.
And I also notice sometimes, like when you do this work and you get more comfortable, my mind goes like, "Huh, is it safe to be comfortable in this situation? Shouldn't you
Oh, that's
freak
a good
out?
one.
Like you should
Yeah,
do something about it." But like as
yeah.
you said, every time you make a decision out of survival, usually it's just not worth it. Like all the
Mm,
time, it's not worth it. Then you get into some sort of job that burns you out, that you don't even like, and you
mm,
will leave it anyways after a few months. So literally having the trust in the unknown and like acknowledging you don't know everything right now, but still putting faith or trust into the unknown that something will work out for you. I mean, this is a crazy thing in the
mm,
normal world,
mm,
but like this is how you create. And I'm curious how you kind of shifted your identity, where you also sometimes, okay, so you had all this money, and then of course you said, um, you were spending it because you were afraid
mhm.
to lose it, and
Lose
you
it.
wanted to make sure that you like can recreate it. But were there also patterns of like you spend it because you kind of wanted to prove so hard, like, yes, I'm an abundant person, so yes, of
Yes.
course I can afford this dinner, but then you actually you can. So how was that journey? I'm really curious how you shifted your identity with the help of your coaches, and like what beliefs or behaviors you were working on, and the
Mm,
overall realization, what emotions were behind it, and once you
yeah.
changed it, how you acted in the same situation but differently
Mm.
from your heart.
Yeah, so I think working with the coaches that helped me shift his beliefs was, look, some coaches were good, some coaches were not that good as well. But
Hmm.
basically, um, what I found out is that these beliefs were formed when my business partner left and basically left me in debt. You know what I mean? So it wasn't any childhood type of stuff as well, but it was basically from that incident, because that incident branded me emotionally to the point
Hmm.
where, yeah, it was just like there was like a lot of emotions during that time. And so some of them would try to like dig into like my childhood and stuff like that. And so I think the prevalent emotion that I needed to overcome was the lack and scarcity
Yeah.
beliefs as well. You know what? The biggest one is what I found out, it's not a lack and scarcity issue, it's a receiving issue. And for me, it was
Yes.
a receiving issue, right? Because
Yeah.
here I am, especially when like I lost a lot of money, I would think that I it was me that would have to get myself out of this situation. And so I definitely needed to, my whole the identity that I embody now and what I love to help people with is surrendering, because that's what the whole point of meditation is for me now. And so shame, I had to get rid of shame, because for the longest time, like I said, when I was in debt, I was so ashamed to even ask girls out, because why the heck would they want to go out with me? I have no money. I would be so ashamed to ask one of my friends out as well, because I had no money as well. But also that it's like a double-edged sword, because that shame also depleted my confidence. Okay, I don't want to ask anyone out because no one wants to come out because I have no money,
Yeah.
or like why would anyone want to come out with me because I have no money? And so my confidence would be depleted as well. And so my identity that I needed to create was someone who believed in himself, someone who was a winner, someone who saw himself as seeing myself as in a high regard as well. You know
Yes.
what I mean? And so this is going to sound like very, very religious and spiritual, but I needed to start seeing myself as like a child of God, child of the divine, because
Yeah.
I am the child of the divine. And I just forgot that. I just forgot that very, very much so. Let's just say that. And so I needed to remember who that deeper part of me was. And so what my more than the identity work, I needed to get rid of all those stories that I was telling myself while I was in debt. Like, dude, you're worthless. Like, you have who's gonna
Mm.
love you. You're never gonna be good at business. Like, you need to struggle to like really make something happen. You need to work hard. Those two, struggling to make money and working hard to make money, I needed to rip out of my system immediately. Because, like I said, when I was investing in those courses that cost a lot, that was me um what do you call it, reaffirming that
Yeah.
identity of I needed to work hard, I needed to struggle, you know what I mean? So once
Yeah.
I got rid of that, life was just so much more easier, and it's just a decision. I just realized it's just a decision to stop entertaining lack, stop entertaining scarcity, and a decision to just trust myself, trust in the universe as well. And I feel like everyone, and yeah, I feel like everyone is one decision away from a quantum leap or a new life.
Wow, beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that. That is such a powerful reminder. And yes, we are a child of God. Like I love that you mentioned it. And it's again a parallel that I reminds me also of what Punya said. She is such a power woman, honestly, and that's exactly what she reminded herself too. Like, no, she's a like we're a child
Mm,
of God. Like we are inherently worthy, and we don't have to work
absolutely.
our butts off for this worthiness, or being loved, or also to receive.
Mm,
I love that you mentioned that it's not necessarily lack or uh, yeah, scarcity, but sometimes really this shame around receiving that we have,
absolutely.
like that
Yeah.
we deem as like as a bad thing, weirdly.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So when you were working on this, um, I'm curious, like what showed up then to you? Were you receiving also was it easier to receive then also from your parents because you were once in debt
Mm,
to your parents, and I could
mm.
imagine that there was like a lot of guilt. And then once you worked through it, were you more open to receive from them as well, or how did your life change and your relationships when you were opening up more?
Um, Definitely. I think receiving is it was a hard journey because like allowing yourself to receive is especially if you're conditioned that you need to do everything yourself, and receiving is, especially coming from a Catholic background, like receiving. Oh my God. Catholic, like no disrespect to Catholics, but the church that I went to, I'm not saying all Catholics are like this. The church that I went to, they love to use guilt
Yeah.
to condition people. And then that's why I stopped being a Catholic, because like I can just see my mom, and she was like a really big Catholic. They get you to they condition you to like um being rich is such a sin, and like you have to be poor in order to go to heaven. And I'm like, what? And so I realized that later on, but then it was so ingrained in me that receiving was
Mhm.
hard because I was so conditioned to, be poor in the eyes of God. You need to be poor to be with God. And like, okay. Anyway, so I had to disentangle myself from that. And so one of the biggest patterns that I realized I needed to let go of was that receiving is easy. Receiving is our natural nature. Like the divine wants to keep is continuously giving to us. The only thing that is blocking us is us.
Yeah.
And so by me thinking that receiving has to be hard, I need to do something in order for me to receive, I was blocking the flow of the divine that to give to me. And so obviously when I let go of that, like things started getting easier. It wasn't just like an immediate effect of like me getting a better relationship with my parents, but it's like they can see changes in me of like, okay, he's more present, he's more receptive, he's more kind as well. He's not kind of like, just like complaining or like typical child and parent relationship type of thing. And so they started noticing those changes, and then the relationships just started getting better as well. Um, I was able to start receiving compliments to begin with,
Mm.
and then that momentum just starts to snowball as well. And then after that, you just receive, I don't know, it's just strange, like because it starts off small. Like the universe, like I think gives us small things what we're comfortable to receive, like parents' love and connection as well, and then it's receiving in like help, and then it starts to receive from strangers because imagine like you just healed yourself from receiving or like the identity of not being able to receive, and then out of nowhere a stranger wants to give you $1 million. I feel like the old pattern would immediately jump up to try to protect you and be like, oh dude, don't trust this person, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
So the universe like likes to give us little breadcrumbs of like, okay, how about this? Are you going to receive this? Are you going to receive this? Oh, okay. See, like it's like you know what I mean, like you're opening yourself more up more to receive from strangers. And so
Yeah.
that was kind of like what I the momentum that I followed or experienced as well. It was like, here, have this first. Okay, you like that? Let me give you this now. Okay, let me give you that. How about from a stranger? Okay, how about from this unknown source? Are you going to lose your mind? So you know what I mean. So it was kind of like that.
Awesome. Beautiful. I love that. That sounds really amazing. And then like how is it going now? So you've overcome, I guess, also your patterns of scarcity or
Mm,
lack, or maybe you're still working on it. So how do you keep your ego in check? Like how do you keep your patterns in check? And
yeah.
yes, I'm curious about that.
Right now, life is wonderful. Like I feel like this is it just keeps getting in better and better for me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, how do I keep my ego in check? The ego is never gonna like I would like to, I know I'm in a very very good place right now. However, the ego is always going to be there because we need the ego to survive. Like
Yeah.
if like if my house is burning down, obviously I need my ego to keep me alive because that's what its job is. Now my ego is kind of like a part of me that I can actually work with, and so
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I still have intrusive thoughts and self doubt thoughts. However, I choose to not listen to them now, and so that act of coherence is so important. Like it's a bit of a tangent, but sometimes I spend like 50 minutes before I even do a German dispenser meditation of just like sitting with music and just getting myself so coherent. You know what I mean? Before I do a Joe Dispenza meditation, because now I am able to identify if my ego is trying to like weasel itself and trying to pull me back into my old self, and it still will. You know what I mean? No matter
Mm-hmm.
how enlightened you are, that ego will still try to weasel itself into your life whenever it can, and so it knows you. So now I am so much more better at identifying, okay, this is my ego. Or if I can feel
Mm-hmm.
myself contracting and and going back into pity party mode. Oh, I never go back into pity party mode now, but if I'm feeling a bit anxious or stressed out about something, it's like, oh, okay, I can feel myself contracting. I can feel myself breathing more shallow. But the main one is like thoughts are just like "Urgh," in my head.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh, dude, you're in survival mode. Why don't you take a break and why don't you excuse yourself and get back into coherence? You know what I mean? I don't have to do a Joe meditation, but sometimes I do. Sometimes a cold shower gets me back into coherence because it breaks me out of that emotional pattern. You know what I'm talking
Mm-hmm.
about? So I do whatever it takes now to bring myself back into homeostasis before I engage with the world, before I engage with my business, before I engage with my loved ones, before anything. Because anything in survival, now that I know from experience, is no
Yeah.
bueno. You know, it always leads me to a road that I do not want to go to. And so I think coherence is key. And then there's a multitude of things that happen when I am coherent. Like let's say when I do like the 15 minutes of just listening to music and just breathing. Well,
Mhm.
I'm already preparing myself to slow my brain waves down. I am surrendering as well. It's being coherent and just being present is like an act of surrender. And so what I've realized is when I am always in the present moment, when I'm coherent, I'm always receiving.
Mm.
Does that follow? Because I'm
Yeah.
always receiving. My mind is not in the way. I'm not thinking about my past. I'm not thinking about my future. I'm in the present moment. And now I literally don't have any schedules. Well, obviously I have stuff in my calendar like what we discussed now, but I don't have like a set gym schedule. I don't have like
Yeah.
a set going out schedule. If someone invites me out and I have that free opportunity, I will take it. So I'm more listening to my body now and listening to my heart more than my mind because it's leading me to unexpected adventures. It's leading me to, so in my meditations now, I don't even try to create. I just focus on cultivating more of this, whatever that is. Like what I experience in meditation is just
Yeah.
this, and I'm like, I want more of that. And so what's being reflected in my external reality is more
Mhm.
experiences that bring me this. And
Yes.
it is like, it's insane because I could have never conceived of anything. Like I take a wrong turn and then I find an amazing restaurant that I've never been to before, or I get lost in a neighborhood and I'm in a coffee shop that leads me to a project. I'm like, huh? And then I think that these wrong turns are like bad, but they're not, because sometimes the universe needs us to get us out of our way so we can be in the unknown, right? And so there
Yeah.
was like this one time as well where I got sick, and I had food poisoning, and so I missed out on my morning meditation, and I found out evening meditations give me a different type of results. So what we consider like bad circumstances sometimes can be a setup for something great. And so right
Mhm.
now I have like a belief about a belief that all roads lead to my desired reality, no matter
Oh.
like. And so by being coherent, to tie this all together, when I am experiencing something bad or something that I don't want to be experiencing in the 3D,
Mhm.
by me being able to stay coherent, I'm like, oh, this is leading me somewhere good. You know what I mean? I'm like
Yes.
this now. I'm like, this is leading me somewhere good. So look, don't get me wrong. It's scary and exciting at the same time, like a roller
Mm.
coaster, because you never know where the unknown is leading you. But you just have to develop that super coherent within you, that it's just trust. It's just trust, and it always leads you to well, for me, these experiences.
That's absolutely beautiful. And it's like just you getting um used to the unknown, I guess. Just
Yes.
like,
Mm.
oh wow. Thank you so much for sharing that. I absolutely love that. What I sometimes do, what really
Mm.
does the job for me, is when I place my hands on top of my chest and I just can feel myself going into heart, brain heart coherence. It's
I
just
love it.
something that I love to practice with my eyes open. It's just like
Right. Exactly. Especially with your eyes open. Wonderful.
yeah, yeah, really. And yes, thank you so much for sharing all of that. And I'm curious, like, I love that belief that you have, that you cultivated all roads lead to my desire. Are there
Mm.
any more like beliefs that you have cultivated that you would love to share? Like
Yeah.
some you're a child of God and
Mm.
some more?
Yeah, that one's a good one, especially like the child of God one.
Mm,
And just to like elaborate on that a little bit, if you are a child of God, how are you going to act like one? You know what I mean? If I'm a child of
mhm.
God, then obviously a child of God, God never makes mistakes. So obviously, if I'm a child of God, like you and everyone else, you're perfect, you're whole, you're already complete. And so that is like a big belief that I was like, oh, amazing. So that's like a big one for me, being a child of God, and all roads lead to my desired reality. What else? I think just surrendering is like just a big part of me and my life now, especially
Mhm,
with my business of like what I teach people, just
mhm,
literally surrendering. And so one thing is as well is like, all you have to do is ask. That is literally our job. All we have to do is ask, forget about the how and when, and then
mhm.
the universe will just deliver it to us in the most unexpected way. And so the more coherent we are, the more faster it can come. You know what I mean? And so um, I can't think of any beliefs right now that, because I'm embodying them, because yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah,
When you're in it, when you're in the jar, you can't see outside the
it's
jar. But
true.
yeah, if I do, I'll definitely reach out to you once again.
Thank you. Oh, that was thank you so much for sharing that. And that was such a wonderful journey that you've told us. I loved every bit of it and how you got yourself out of it. That's so inspirational. And I kind of want to ask you,
Mm,
so when the hero returns home successfully, he brings back the wisdom that he
mhm.
collected and then shares it with the world. So, what
Yeah.
wisdom would you like to share with us that you have experienced during your
Mm,
journey?
yeah, I would love to share that. Don't listen to the stories that you're telling yourself.
Mm,
Um, the heart is such a powerful thing that we have. I don't know what to call it. You know what I mean? But it knows everything. It knows you. And so the wisdom that I want to share is follow your heart, listen to your body more than listening to your mind, because the mind is a record of the past, and it's you're using the mind. We're using the mind as a basis of past experiences,
Mhm.
but the body knows what's the best thing for us. And so, that like at the beginning of my surrender journey, it was hard for me to trust the heart because I'm like, oh, what? Everyone's going that way, but you want me to go this way? And so sometimes you are going to look crazy. Sometimes you're going to feel crazy because you're doing everything that other people aren't doing. So
Mm,
that is the best. That is the best thing that I can share with people, because the more you, it's a chain reaction. The more you trust yourself, the more you trust your heart, the more you can trust the universe as well. So it all starts with you. So don't stop loving yourself, because the more you love yourself, the more you believe in yourself, and the more you believe in yourself, the more you believe in the universe. And so
mm,
it's just a whole chain reaction and cascade of amazing things when you just set the foundation of loving yourself as well, because now you can truly surrender to
mhm.
your heart's guidance, to the universe as well, because they're both connected, and it just makes life so much more easier as well. Just being in that light-hearted state, it's just a great place to be. And that's our natural state of being. The only thing that is blocking us is the stories and the interference of
Yeah.
societal programming that we have unfortunately started to believe about as well. So get rid of those stories, question them, question those
Mhm.
stories, question those beliefs, and don't forget your will. You know, you have a will, use it.
Yes, so good. Thank you so much. When I hear you talking, I could just listen to you all day long. So I bet
Thank you.
the others also would love to know, where can we learn more about you? You have a YouTube channel. Do you have any
That's
other
right.
more like websites or sources where we can listen to your wisdom or just listen to you? I will link them all down below, of course, as
Okay,
well. But yes,
appreciate
let
it.
us know where can we find you?
Yeah, absolutely. You can find me in my YouTube channel. If you love hearing me talk and you don't want to get sick of it, you can find me on YouTube as well. I am Kevin Gonzalez 888. Yeah, I talk about meditation, my entire journey as well. I do have a website. It's called rabbitidentityshift.com. If you would like to work with me personally as well, and just teaching people how to just deeply surrender, get rid of their limiting beliefs and their stories and the interferences very, very quickly, and do the identity work that worked for me as well. But YouTube, I don't hold anything back. I give everything there as well, and it's what I teach my clients also.
Beautiful. Thank you so incredibly much. That was really a wonderful episode and such a synchronicity for me as well. I've
Oh, okay.
learned a lot. So thank you so much for being here with us today. And for all who of those who are listening, if you really enjoyed this episode, please go over to Kevin's YouTube channel, check him out. He has some really cool videos up there, and give this video a thumbs up, or on Spotify, if you're listening this on Spotify, please just give it a star and just type in your how do you say reference, I think it's called, so people can
A
find
review?
a review. Yeah, thank you. A
Yeah,
review,
yeah.
so people can find this podcast more easily, and that we get the wisdom to all the people who are needed this. So thank you so much. And thank you so much for your being, for your soul. You have a beautiful, beautiful heart. And it was
Thank
a
you.
true pleasure to have you here. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me and giving me the opportunity to share my entire journey as well. Has been my first time sharing this experience, so yeah, thank you for giving me the opportunity to do that as well.
Awesome. Thank you for having the honor to being your first podcast, or for being your first space to share this. I love that. All right, then. I wish you all a wonderful day, and I see you in the next episode. Bye.
See ya.